A master's degree in education is very important for practitioners, whether they be counselors, teachers, administrators, or others who work with adult and educational fields. And the first reason I think a master's is important is to develop knowledge for professional practice. So many people in education are working professionals who need to develop knowledge and stay up with their field, learn about new techniques for teaching. So that would be the first issue. A second reason for this would be advancement in career. Many people in professional fields are looking for ways to take on leadership roles or take on new roles within their organization, and they need new and different knowledge than they're initially trained in. So that's a second reason. And the third is that educators are generally learners. These are people who like to teach and learn, and there's a knowledge for knowledge's sake, that they'll go back and get professional degrees because they think it's a good thing to do, and they enjoy the learning experience and want to better themselves that way. A time commitment for a master's in education program will depend on a number of things, particularly the individual students and how they like to manage their workflow, but also depends on the program and the nature of the coursework they may be taking. Some of the key interactions are their relationship with readings and coursework and how they organize their time. There's also interaction with faculty and other students. So even though courses are online, there is quite a bit of interaction through wiki spaces and chat rooms and video interaction, email, and others. So there's quite a bit of interaction among faculty and students. So that is another way that online learners invest their time. They often have in our master's degree programs a thesis or a master's paper that they would be working on, and these papers are things that really depend on the nature of the research they're involved in and how much effort and time they put into it. So a lot of it is really going to depend on the individual learner, their commitment to learning, and the nature of the program that they're in. So I really couldn't specify that in very particular terms. I think for a Master's of Education, students should look for a strong academic program with a rigorous curriculum. It's important that they have an experience that really does advance their professional career or provide them knowledge for their practice, or even just develop their own mind and thinking in new ways. So that would be the first thing. I'd also look for strong faculty. I would look for faculty members who are actively involved in research, who are advancing knowledge, and are engaged in online instruction. I'd recommend that they look for programs that have some flexibility and allow students to use their own creativity to create graduate programs that make sense and are tailored to their own professional and personal interests. But we look for a variety of experiences for students who are applying to our programs. So first and foremost, we're looking for some professional experience. And we have students who enter our program who are elementary school teachers, who are school principals, who work in adult education contexts, who might be interested in promoting educational technology or understanding more about students with special needs or students with autism. So there's a whole variety of types of students who enter into our master's degree programs. Importantly, we're looking for students who have professional background who can contribute to our program, because our programs involve both learning from faculty and also from other students. That professional experience is very important, since many of our programs are geared for people who are already in their professions and already working in some context. So that's an important part of it. The second piece we look for is the academic background. We like students to have enough academic experience and knowledge so they could productively engage in the coursework, can be effective learners, and also be part of a community of learners in their program. The advantages and the drawbacks are similar in some ways. So one of the key advantages is that it allows people who have jobs, family, and other time commitments to be involved with some of the best researchers in the world from a distance. They can do it from home with their own computer. And this is a tremendous advantage for people who have commitments or are locally isolated, or people who are geographically committed to a particular area. So if someone who has a family and a job and are interested in a master's degree program, they don't have to leave that work to come and do a degree. It uses technology, so many learners who like to use technology and are interested in applications of technology for learning will be able to see how that's modeled through online instruction and master's degrees. And finally, the learning is asynchronous, so one could have a very complex life and be able to participate in ongoing conversations with classmates over the course of a number of different days at all kinds of different hours and still have a good learning environment. Now, that relates also to some of the disadvantages. So one of the disadvantages is that there's flexibility, so you could work it around your job and your family and other commitments. And that's different than a master's degree program where you might want to go full-time and really immerse yourself at a university campus. So that advantage is also a disadvantage, and I would say the same about technology. Some learners really do like to learn through video, chat rooms, wiki spaces, email and other chained conversations with other learners. Others may not like that technology and that delivery. So that advantage is also a disadvantage for some learners. And finally, the asynchronous nature of learning, I think that is a huge advantage for people who have time commitments elsewhere. But on the other hand, there are some people who really like a very interactive, interpersonal relationship with other learners, and that's something that could be a disadvantage in the distance education setting. It's hard to know what the specialties will be in demand in the long term. In short term, we do have some sense what this will be. One particular area in education is leadership, and that's leadership both at districts levels, at individual schools, and within particular programs, say a department leader or a school leader among teachers. There's also needs for leadership in special programs, say programs for students with special needs or English language learners. So I think there'll be a strong need for leadership in educational fields. Many people who work in education, whether they're counselors, school teachers, or people who work specifically with, say, reading specialists, have not had a lot of training in leadership. So they often need to go back to school and get a master's degree and learn about ways that they could be effective leaders. So that's certainly one area. Another area of major concern and interest in professional practice is addressing the needs of special education students with special learning disabilities or have special needs in schools. And that's a very important area that there's a huge need in our schools to get better and be more effective at that. In many parts of the United States, we see also that there's students coming to the United States who do not speak English as a first language. These students are often referred to as English language learners, and it's important to develop educational programs that teach them content well, that's able to find effective strategies to teach English language learners the content they need at schools and in other settings. Finally, I think there's a couple other areas in the future that will be important. One is the uses of technology in education. There's a huge increase in technology and different kinds of handheld devices, and I think that the potential of educational technology has not been tapped in schools. So I think educators increasingly will be asked to devise ways of using technology effectively. And finally, we do know that there's been a need in this country for a long time in areas of science, engineering, mathematics education, and that's going to be an area of continuing need in professional educational settings. There are many new developments at Penn State. I'll highlight just two for now. One is a new program we have in teacher leadership. This program conceptualizes leadership broader than just the role that one would have in school, say a school principal, but views teachers as leaders in the many roles that they could take as collaborators in classrooms, as coaches for other teachers, as leaders in departments. And this program is designed to help them think of effective ways to be leaders in educational settings in the many ways that they may be able to do that. A second one is that we're developing now is what we call the iPrincipalship, and this will be an online principal certification program for principals in the state of Pennsylvania. This is very innovative, particularly because it will include a practicum, which will be a live practicum, not online, but in school in some setting. It will match up current principals who can serve as mentors with students who are enrolled in the online principalship. So those are two new areas that we've been working on most recently.